Hello again, everyone, and welcome. I am Gary Gatto, and this is Race First coverage of round 2 of the inaugural season of the ISRA Xfinity Series. We come to you tonight from the home of Joliet Jake, Chicagoland Speedway. Joining me in the booth this season, as always, my good pal from the former Indy Fixed Series champion. Excuse me, God, I can't talk at all tonight. Must be this excitement for the month of May coming up here, but it's Mark Murphy. Mark, so we're kind of at one of those cookie cutter speedways that really I think a lot of these cars race pretty well at, but for whatever reason they're kind of coming off the schedule, with the exception of just a couple of them. This is one of them that's coming off the schedule. But we're here tonight with about 2 minutes and 37 seconds left to play with a pretty good field.
Yeah, so we've got 17, 18 cars signed in. 17 it appears, and so a really good field for Mike Rigney and crew here in the ISRA. Chicagoland is the prototypical 1.5 mile, 1.5 mile D-shaped oval built around the same times as Kansas, and fairly close to its sister track. The main difference between Chicago and Texas is that Chicagoland, in a nod to Langhorne, does not have a straightaway. The track is, if you look at a map of this joint, the backstretch does have a bit of curve to it.
There you go. We see from a sky shot right there. Yeah, a bent back straightaway.
Yeah, so it's not a complete straight, and it gives it its own little unique flavor. It's got a little bit more banking to it, it seems like, or at least it drives that way as opposed to Kansas. And it is not nearly as rough on tires, which you would expect. You would expect it to be probably rougher given the weather in Chicagoland. But this track is not used nearly as much as Kansas. As a matter of fact, it's been dormant since pre-pandemic days. So we haven't seen a major auto race here. The Route 66 dragway, which is right next door, has been closed. Warehouses now occupy some of the parking lots, and so who knows? We may not ever see the speedway itself is still there, but remains to be seen if we'll see high-level automobile racing back at the Chicagoland Speedway.
Well, guess who we got on camera?
The stock car driver?
Yeah, it's a stock car driver.
It is a stock car driver. Golly, he likes his Penske paints, doesn't he? Very, 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 very steady run. You saw his hands flick back and forth there. This car likes to unload itself and get loose really bad in the middle of the corner here. Especially if you get your tires right on those seams, you see them?
Yeah.
If you get right on one of those seams, it can really turn you loose a little bit. Good lap for Matty Wagner. Good enough for 7th on the board thus far.
And it's time to line them up here. So clear off all the graphics. Let's cue up the music. And let's take a look at this starting grid here. On the pole, with a speed of 181.2, Sam Crow. Rigney right next to him. We saw Rigney, a little difficulty there in that second lap of his, but set a fast time with his first lap, 181.1. Michael Goodman, a 180.9. Pepto Joe, also a 180.9. So again, very close times here at the front of the grid here. Pat Armstrong, and his first start in the series. If he does a one-stopper, I think, can we call him Stretch Armstrong? But anyways, P5. Richie Hearn, P6. Matty Wagner, P7. Rick D, P8. We got Mark Cohn, who is on a bit of a roll. Winner last night in the Dark Horse DW12 series at Kentucky. He is in the lineup tonight. Is 9th. Say hey, Lewis Hayes in 10th. John Vorellis, JV, 11th. Lionel Callisto in 12th. Vern Hawkins, 13th. Dean Darth Maul. They went ahead and just joined the dark side, and then they accepted their nickname right there. 14th. Hugo Gallus, 15th. And It looks like they're lining up as part of a little bit of a warm-up, and we'll get those last couple names here that didn't qualify here in just a moment. But I think George Anzaldo is one of those. Lionel Callisto is one of those. So we'll get a full lineup here whenever one grids up. But we're in a bit of a warm-up right now.
Yeah, and so just kind of circling among strategy for this race, you know, you're gonna see all kind of different play with tires. These guys have 3 sets.
Yeah, 1 in the car, 2 in the pits, and we could go over those rule sets here in just a minute. Go ahead.
Yeah, so 1 on the car, 2 in the pits, so 3 sets total. It appears as though you can do this race in 2 stops and a splash. So my estimated fuel window here, Gary, is anywhere between 50 and 60 laps. These cars are on 3/4 fuel, so 15 gallons in the tank.
It's 80% fuel, but effectively 3/4, yeah. 4/5.
I went to Ball State, Gary. I went to Ball State.
I went to Indiana State. I'm not saying I'm better than math, but
at least you actually attended class. Anyway, as I tell my father all the time, in the spirit of Van Wilder, please let the record reflect that when I attended class, I received exemplary marks. Anyway, so 50 to 60 laps, maybe stretch on gas. It'll be interesting to see if there's...
Sorry, I'm laughing at Wagner in chat.
Yeah, so... anyway... Do you like my reply? We are not evil. That wiggle and 3 looked like it for you, buddy. So, you know, it's going to be interesting to see when guys choose to take their tires. You know, I think cooler heads, they took them early last week. There's obviously going to have to be one small stretch where you don't. And then this whole thing can be upended by an early yellow. We do have more cars today than we did last week. And so, you know, obviously more chance for coming together, more chance for a guy. These things are very loose. We saw that happen to Matt Wagner during qualifying. These things are very loose. He's going to spin one out, put it in the fence, cause the yellow, connect with somebody, because you can run pretty close in these cars here as well.
Yeah, but over and over we've seen how now I believe the new guys in the lineup are what we would consider stock car guys. I believe they're being recruited by Rigney, but the bulk of the lineup is still ex-Lionheart guys, and it shows their level of not just commitment, but just level of racing that they're able to keep these cars under them, and as well as race a number of races that we've had raced caution free, and that makes it even makes the kind of the broadcasting more exciting, because it kind of, you know, who is going to stretch that run.
Yeah, and look, I mean, you know, these cars are not. I know you look at them on TV and you look at them in the sim and you think, oh, you know, they're on rails. You really do drive these cars here with the back end kind of hanging out. Right on the edge. There's a slip angle. It's more severe than it is in trucks. Even in these cars have more horsepower than the trucks did from one season ago, and so it's very easy to get them in trouble, especially on old tires, as we head for the race session.
Yeah, and not shown in qualifications there. We had, and I don't know if this show up anymore. We'll show the grid one more time, and it stops. We'll stop at Hugo Gallas. So that's Anzaldo and Drew Trader, our 16th and 17th on the grid. And those will be your last 2 that will line up as we're getting ready to go racing here. So the rule set for tonight, of course, is a 1.5 mile oval doing 134 laps, which is just over 200 miles. 3 sets of tires, as mentioned, 1 in the car, 2 in the pits, 80% fuel, 1 fast repair. Lucky Dog is on, not like we've had to use it very much. Hopefully we just didn't jinx this right there. Waiver rounds are on. There is a no restart zone, so they don't have to get into that Geico logo before they decide they want to go. These are IndyCar guys, after all, for the most part, so old habits die hard. One green-white checker attempt, and the pit road speed limit is 55 miles per hour. If you enjoy race coverage of the ISRA Xfinity Series and respect the stream, please do us a solid. Make sure you support us by subscribing. And while you're at it, don't forget to smash the bell and click like so you miss out on future Raceverse iRacing broadcasts. And we got a ton of them this week, going into next week, as we are fully in the month of May. If you're watching for stock car action, we have picked up a little bit of a temporary, as their regular broadcaster is going to be on vacation for the next 2 weeks for the VRL on Wednesday nights. We'll cover 2 consecutive weeks of their series before we hand it back to their regular broadcasters, but an opportunity to bring additional NASCAR action onto this channel, as well as just everything else that we got going on leading up to the month of May. It's happening all this week, next week, and the week after. Getting ready to go racing here. Sam Crow on the pole.
That's right, and he's gonna have Mike Rigney, the host with the most, to his outside.
Right.
They're gonna have Michael Goodman and Pepto Joe third, P3 and 4 in row 2. Pat Armstrong and Richie Hearn make up the third row. The pace car is off, and they enter the restart zone. Green flag is out.
They did wait for the restart zone, but that's okay. You can do that as an option.
Yeah, I don't think it's on, but you can do that. Clean break up and down the field. Everybody settles out 2 by 2. You've got Matt Wagner there. Matt Wagner's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's going to be the 6th car in line, 7th car in line, headed to the bottom. And that battle for 5th is going to be the first group that are really jockeying for position here.
Vern Hawkins with a good move, moving him up through the middle. He's already up 3 spots at the completion of lap 2, or lap 1, starting lap 2.
That's right. We've got the 70. We've got Richie Hearn climbing to the outside. He looks like he's going to threaten to take third, 3 or 4 away. Of course, he's trailing Mike Rigney there. Already seeing guys start to vary lines. The top and the bottom are both equally as good. There was some discussion in the pre-race chat amongst the drivers and a couple of my sources as they were debating whether the high side or the bottom was going to be the better of the two. It seemed like you might be able to rip the top a little bit faster. But lifting and kind of coasting around on the bottom might be the easier way to save tires. We'll see. We see Mike Rigney in 2nd now and Richie Hearn in 4th, and they are both most assuredly a group higher, as is Matt Wagner. They're all up in that 2nd lane. And car number 3, that's going to be Vern Hawkins. He's up a lane higher. He's
up 5. He's up 4. Actually, 3 spots at the moment. It was up 5 at the just before we went to the camera on him. But Darth Maul, he is on the bottom and moving forward. He is up 6 spots.
Yep. And that's the fun thing about these, about these tracks, especially here in Kansas. Multiple groups, multiple lines. You can go forward. You can go forward as long as you find something that's fast and comfortable. And guys are going to find that all over the place, especially with a car that likes to be driven a little bit with the back end out. It likes to slide the right rear tire a little bit. Who can tame that? And they're doing it. They're doing it extremely well. Something I thought I saw a glimpse of, Gary.
Yeah.
In the background is it a teal and white car back there? My trading paints is decided not to cooperate, but like 3 or 4 cars behind this group that includes Mark Cohn. I thought I saw a teal and white, like Elliott Marino car.
Oh there. Yeah, that is John Von Voorellis.
Ah yes, JV sporting the Bill Elliott Dan Marino Racing colors. Of course, gave the Winston Cup, as it was called, debut to Jerry Nadeau back in the day. Car also driven by Setzer and Wally Dallenbach Jr. Gave it a couple of shots, and Ted Musgrave finished out the season in that car. and then it did not qualify for its only attempt in 1999 to get a triple. So, an interesting machine. The First Plus Financial.
Yeah, I'm about to say that was the First Plus Financial. They also at that time were sponsoring Cheever and IndyCar.
You're exactly right.
And Cheever did take them to victory lane at Disney World in '97.
I had completely forgot about that. So there you go.
See, that's me, man. I will not. I vaguely remember this car, and I do remember they would go from like the First Plus Financial, and then they did Tabasco for a while, I think, and then of course that also covered over to the teams over in IndyCar as well. There was the Tabasco sponsorship. Jeff Ward carried that when he was driving for Cheever.
Yeah, I don't recall this car being involved in the Tabasco fiasco. I think that was more Darrell Waltrip's team after he had sold it. Which, if you want to look up the Tabasco fiasco, it's a it's an interesting time in stock car auto racing. But I don't think this car was it. I think that was Darrell Waltrip's team that had been sold on twice. Somehow merged again, and Waltrip wound up driving at one point for his old organization and protesting his sponsor on national television because he claimed he wasn't getting paid for any of it. So that was interesting.
I thought he just wanted Let's Go Racing Boys. I thought that's what he all wanted to do. He wanted paid too?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you can't have it both ways.
Well, real quick to update the action here on the track. Goodman, Rigney, Cohn, and Hearn, your top four, kind of broken away a little bit from the group behind them, which features Flanagan, Armstrong, Crow, Mall, Hawkins, and John Von Voorellis. They've got about a half second on that group at the moment as we are now well into the first part of this first stint, 11 laps in of 134 scheduled. We're thinking no, that they still have quite a ways to go before they get to pit road. We're thinking somewhere in the 60s possibly. Is that what we were playing with?
Between 50 and 60 is my best guess, depending on what I ran. Now, keep in mind, I am not a stock car driver, so I'm a good 3/10 to a half.
So that's 2.5 stops basically to get us to get them home.
Yeah, I think you have to do 2 and a splash. Man on the move right now is Pepto Joe Flanagan. He is turning in some fast laps. He has run down. He's running down, reeling in Richie Hearn bit by bit by bit.
And Maul's fast too. Maul has the purple lap, as indicated by the purple number 6 next to his number 31 on the tree to the left. We're always monitoring the purple lap to tell you who's on the move, but those two are on the move at the moment, as they're starting to pull away from that second group a little bit and starting to join this first group.
Yeah, and the draft here is effective. It's not Daytona or Talladega, of course, but it is effective. These guys are running about 165 miles an hour at the lowest point in the corner. They're going to get up to probably 180. They're going to touch 187, 188 down the back, probably 190 on the front.
Here comes Dean Darth on the low side of Pepto Joe. Door handle off the corner. And Maul gets him off of corner number 4. Move Dean Darth Maul up another spot, up 9. So the big movers of the race, and we just missed it right here, is here's Cohn to the lead. Cohn is your other big mover. He is up 8 as he is drag racing right now with Rigney down this curved backstretch into 3.
I think Mark the Watchman and Mike Rigney would drag race anywhere, anytime. Just get him a stoplight and a straight stretch of road. Those two have Mark Cohn of course drove from the back. Rigney's been up there, but they're doing what you kind of don't want to do, which is battle side by side, because that's just going to eat your tires. And remember, at some point we're going to have to run a little bit extra on one of those sets probably. So,
yeah.
I might be taking care of my tires a little bit more. They've already fallen off, Gary, about half a second.
Yeah, and Cohn definitely, as I said, old habits die hard. He is definitely an open wheeler driver by nature, and he has gone right to the bottom. Now, he's not going to do it right here in 1, but he's going to stay about a lane off the bottom. But 3 and 4, he went right to the bottom. And we know that when you go right to the bottom with these cars over and over again, you're just going to start wearing out those tires. Rigney, meanwhile, he's been kind of up in that 4th lane trying to find the grip strip up there. Probably been saving his tires later for this run. Here comes Richie Hearn up the 3rd on the high side, following Rigney on through. Move. The former IndyCar driver up to 3rd.
Yeah, and that's going to drop Michael Goodman down to 4th, and Hearn not quite as high as Mike Rigney. Although
crossover Dean Darth Ball in the backstretch going into 3 under Goodman, who led early here. Mall in the Supra. And put Mall up to P4.
Yep. I think this is only going to be a matter of time here before we see Richie Hearn in the lead. He has made short work of Goodman and
he was really loose on that quarter exit, though. You could see that he was working the wheel, but he didn't lose a lot of momentum. He's burning those tires up, but he moving to the front.
Yeah, and differing strokes for different folks. Richie Hearn going to climb to the low side. He is going to attempt to take second away from Mike Rigney. Look at how loose that 70 machine is there down on the bottom. Richie giving it the beans through the corner a little bit.
There is the weather situation on your screen. Track temp 77 degrees, air temp 75. We got a pretty cool racetrack. Cool racetrack means grip. There should be lots of it out there for these guys. But they are going higher and higher in these turns to try to find a little bit more. Mall might have just bounced off the turn 4 exit wall, excuse me, if I could say it right again. But he is still maintaining his forward momentum. So just in case they do get damaged, and you want to remind every driver here does have a fast repair, and they can utilize that anytime they want during the race when they make their pit stop. If they feel like they get a little damage now but want to save it for later, they don't have to get it immediately taken care of. Uncheck the box and wait for that next stop, or wait for a yellow. Maybe it can be fixed under caution. Who knows? But there is at least one fast repair these guys have, and they bounce them off the walls. And I wonder why Vern Hawkins was on the apron. I don't know what happened to him, but he and Drew Trader are now down a lap. Did they get into a situation, both of them?
I have an answer. That is scheduled. So
that's a scheduled stop. Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
So they're choosing to do the front part first. Right?
The short run, the short stint. Okay.
Yeah. So split the difference. I said, anywhere between 50 and 60. Well, if you do 55 and 55, that's 110.
So did they change tires, or are they still on the same set of tires because of the short stint? Did you see you see him go up on jacks?
Let me check. I did not actually see the stop. I just noticed on my race labs that they had come in. I would assume not, but let's see. And I'll tell you exactly whether they put tires.
And we'll go through the field while you take a look at that. Go ahead.
Nope, they did not.
Okay, so
gas
they're
only.
Gas only on their first stops. Cone, Hearn, Mall, your top 3. Rigney back there in 4th. Goodman is in 5th. Armstrong, 6th. Lionel Callisto, well, should have been watching him to nobody's secret right there. Up 5 spots, up to 7th. Sam Crow, our pole sitter, not the greatest start as he's fading to the back in 8th. But again, this could be planned. If you could do a little bit of fuel saving, you might be able to make this closer to a 2-stop race rather than a 2 and a splash race. So maybe there's a little bit of strategizing going back here further. So we can't assume issues. Pepto Joe, we saw him storm to the front. Now he's kind of floated to the back as well. He's in 9th. Rick D in the weekly top 40 there. He's in top 10. He is back there racing right behind Pepto Joe. John Von Voorellis, he is in 11th. Matty Wagner, stock car driver. He is working the strategy. He's back in 12th right now, probably trying to make this a two-stopper. Hugo Gallas in the Tide Ride, back in 13th. Say hey, Lewis Hayes. He's kind of been in the back portion of the field at least since the start. Again, I think these guys are kind of strategizing for the two-stopper here. George Anzaldo, this is a home game for George. He's from the Chicago area. He is in 15th spot there. And, of course, we just saw Vern Hawkins, who is on the underside of Pepto Joe, getting the position. That's only for track position. Vern Hawkins is down a lap, and Drew Trader is also down a lap in 17th. And Trader and John Von Voorellis are in. No, sorry, Von Voorellis. I'm sorry. There he is. We didn't get him on the camera correctly last time. Von Voorellis is at 11th there in the Dolphins ride.
Yeah, and so
Richie Hearn to the lead.
Richie's been going after that move for about 3 or 4 laps. He finally pulled it off. He was almost. So it's very weird in the way NASCAR has kind of evolved to me. It used to be the Xfinity car and the Cup car were fairly similar. Now the Cup car is very much more like a truck in terms of aero, where it's got the huge greenhouse and the big spoiler. These cars are a lot like the Gen 6 Cup cars. Mm-hmm. Although they don't have the cocked bodies, what they do have is that little skinny spoiler on the back.
Yeah.
And Richie Hearn had been all over the rear end of Mike Rigney, and I think he finally just
wore him out.
He wasn't hitting him, but he was definitely tucked up under there enough.
Yeah, I'm wearing out those tires. Is what more I meant. Yeah.
More wearing out the tires and make him use up his stuff, because Rigney, he has fallen like a stone now.
He's back to 4th.
Dean Mall and Pat Armstrong have gone by him.
Oh, he's in a nice little group of cars right here, racing pretty hard for positions. So this is Armstrong, Rigney, Cohn, Goodman, and Callisto all in this group right here. Callisto, of course, your Truck Series champion, and now your points leader after winning last week's race for round 1.
Indeed. Something I did want to kind of bring up. Although Trader and Hawkins did not change tires, they still get the benefit of having gone down pit lane at pit lane speed and sitting still for however long they did, and then getting back up to speed. Just allowing their tires to cool off has made Vern Hawkins 0.3 a lap quicker that last time by. Now it's going to feel really bad for Vern and Drew at the end of this run, but for right now they are a little bit quicker than the leader, for sure. Also at the moment, Dean Mall wants the lead, Gary.
And Dean is channeling the dark side here. And he's going to take a look on the bottom side of Richie Hearn. Try to get a run off the corner on the low side. Oh, he slides it through the corner on exit a little bit.
Yeah, and having, it's okay to slide the right rear a little bit, because it's the way that it's what the car wants to do naturally. Sliding all 4 probably not a good idea. You're just gonna wear off extra rubber as your tires hunt for purchase on a cool evening in simulated Chicagoland. But no, I mean, 2 very differing styles. Richie kind of charges the corner, hits that high diamond, comes off strong. Dean Mall eases it in, takes it to the bottom. So 2 very different lines, very different philosophies on how to run a racetrack. And they're both doing about the same speed. They were 4 thousandths of a second off each other that last lap.
Turning 31.9 that time by from Mall, 32 flat, excuse me, for Hearn. Yeah, almost got a fender there on the underneath Hearn there, just missed it.
Yeah, you can't. So when you're running the top like that, you have a huge advantage over the guy on the bottom. It's just about the time, like mid corner, he thinks he's to you.
Oh, here
you
he
get off
is.
the corner, you drive away. Now he's there. So
There.
you,
Wheel to wheel into one, maul down low, sliding up the banking, has the position for the moment. Hearn on the bottom side trying to make a bit of a comeback, tucks back underneath him, might ride this out to 3, we'll see out. Yeah, it's going to ride it out to 3, he's going to go high, Maul will go low. Each one trying to find a different lane, get a little extra wind on the forward spoiler there to help a little downforce. Pat Armstrong now has worked his way up to 3rd and is running this group down. Rigney's kind of stabilized for the moment in 4th, following Pat Armstrong up to 3rd. Lionel Callisto, though, don't look now. Our points champion and Truck Series, our points leader and Truck champion, is now up to 5th. And a side-by-side battle here with Cone and Sam Crow going into turn 3 here. Side-by-side. Looks like the bottom line, at least Crow looks like he was able to get back into the power faster, but it's going to have the momentum for Cone on the high side.
Yeah, and it's a matter of preference, right, as to whether or not you can make the high line or the low line work. Given my experience at Kansas and the truck, which may be about as applicable as my history degree to a math test, but it seems as though the bottom will eventually be the way around. There are guys are gonna be able to make the top work, but believe it or not, the top does chew up your tires, and it can make you extremely loose if you're not prepared for it. So it's a matter of preference. The bottom can be easier on the tires. Just as you progress through the run, it's almost natural because you have to get out of the power so much to get the car to turn. It makes it easier on the tires just for that reason. You're off the power so much where to keep going fast on the top, you've got to really get back in the gas kind of early.
Now they're still back to side by side here. This is a battle for 6th and 7th.
And it's a good one.
Yeah.
It's a good one. You know, I think eventually.
Oh, Crow with the Brazilian clear in front of Cone there. The watchman had to watch it because Crow just slid right on up, took the clear.
It's a good thing that Mark the Watchman is named the Watchman, because that was a heads-up move to get out of the power, and not send old Sam Crow for a ride. Not, as our good friend Nick Sadiq would say, not clear.
Not clear.
Not clear. Right. You know, speaking to that, you know, coming attractions on Race First tomorrow. Top split Indy fixed from this
here,
Chicagoland.
Yeah. We'll be back here tomorrow.
Yeah, it's I'll say this: I went and helped out a friend tonight over there for that race. Do you like Indy cars that are racing like these do at Daytona? Because that's what it's going to be, friends.
Oh my goodness, pack race time.
Yeah, it's very hard to get those cars apart at a place like this. It's in the daytime, but it's rather cool as well, and so not much tire fall off. And, we're starting to get takers.
Yeah, Rigney and Callisto are coming down. Oh, Callisto into the wall.
Pit road.
And then looks like Hearn had issues getting the pit road.
Yeah, Richie Hearn completely. Is that Richie Hearn?
Yeah. And in the 70, the blue 70, the 4D racewear, yeah, that's Richie Hearn.
Yeah. So he completely missed pit road. Meanwhile, Lionel Callisto locked up the rear brakes.
Yeah.
And got pit road, clouded the wall into pit road. The only person who had
Rigney, he got on there pretty easily.
Yeah, I was going to say Rigney, the only car who made that clean.
Okay, Hugo Gallis on pit road as well. Do we have a hold for Callisto? We do have a hold for Callisto, and we got a hold for Hearn, it looks like.
Yep, they're both going to get that. Well,
now Hearn is a hold.
Well, they're both going to get that for either unsafe entry or speeding. Um, Mike Rigney did take 4 tires, so he's back out down and away lap 43. This would indicate to me we've got more cars coming on the pit road.
Lionel was on pit road for, yeah, I mean, he was on pit road for a minute 5 and 39.2 in the box, so that would anticipate a 40-second hold there. But that should be on top. Maybe he had damage that he had to get fixed and opted that maybe it wasn't a hold. But he is back underway. Wagner now, sporting his stock car prowess, is now your leader.
Yeah, and so
going to pit road.
This would indicate to me 3 John Von Bareilles coming out, Dean Mall coming out. They're the lap 44, 45 stoppers. It would appear to me, and this is just, it would appear to me, but that, Matt Wagner is going to elect now. He's coming into pit road now, so he's just
he's on pit road. Just now and this is going to turn the lead over to those guys that stopped early. Now they're going to have Drew Trader and Mark Cohn with very fresh tires, running them down very quickly. But they're pedaling for all it's worth in that high line. But they're going to get past here really soon. In fact, Trader getting by one of them. No, actually, that's Callisto getting by one of them. So Cohn is coming up on this battle right here. So Cohn will catch them. He should be on fresh tires. The guys in first and second, they opted for a short first stint where they decided fuel only, and then they're going to go get tires on their next stop. So they're about halfway through their, which we call, I guess, their second stint. They're 26 laps into that thing.
Yeah, and so, I really like that call.
Yeah, that's gutsy. I like it. I do like it. Oh, Vern Hawkins getting loose off of 4. Trader, very solid right now. I didn't see him turning the wheel quite wrong yet.
No, and they're not exactly losing a ton of time. So Mark Cohn, 32.086 that time. Trader, a 32.065. Vern, 32.103. So these guys are definitely in good shape. I wonder if Cohn took tires, or if he's having trouble with traffic, because Dean Ball was a full second.
I think I saw him go up on jacks. I thought I did. Maybe not. There was a lot of stuff going on pit road. But you're right, Mall and Rigney just moved by him like he was sitting still. And they're very quickly catching this next group. So maybe what the strategy that Cohen's going to do is go long, then possibly short, and then finish up with 2 stints at the end where you have fresh tires.
Yeah, I think the theory behind that is, do you want 3 equal stints on used tires, and perhaps if there's a late caution, you don't have anything left sitting in the pits? Do you run one double and then leave the fresh set in the pits in case there's a late yellow, or the third option, which is kind of what Trader and Vern did, is what Drew and Vern did, is stop early, take gas only, and then you're going to have 1 long run and 1 short one on sticker tires. These guys are going to pay for it in this run, but then they are absolutely going to be rocket ships
for the remainder of the race. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be absolute rockets at the end. And, would you rather be a comer or a goer? I'd much rather be the pursuer than the pursuer.
In the closing, in the closing laps, for sure. For sure. I definitely agree with that. Let's reset the field real quick, and then we'll get into our first mini ad break here. But Dean Darth Maul is your leader again. He picked it up about halfway through the first stint, and then the pit stops occurred. A little bit of a second strategy going on with Vern and Trader that allowed them to get out in front for a little bit. But Maul going to new tires on his first stop. Same with Rigney. Rigney is back up to where he started in second spot. He fell back to about the middle of the top 10 and has worked his way back up to second. That is your 2 leaders. Here are Hawkins and Trader. and third and fourth. They are on an alternate strategy. They did the first stop short, where they went fuel, and then they will go tires on their next stop instead of everyone else kind of doing the opposite of what they're doing. So they are trying a slightly different approach to the strategies, and so far it has worked out, as they were at one point a lap down because of their stop, and now they are up in the top 5. Pat Armstrong in his debut, he is up to 5th. Sam Crow started from the pole, back to 6th. Michael Goodman in 7th. He was among the early leaders, and he's kind of settled back into a mid-top 10 spot. Mark Cohn, he is now fallen back quite a bit, so I think you are correct. I don't remember seeing him go up on jacks, so I think he is on a well-used set of tires right now. He went fuel only in that first stop, so he is executing his fuel-only run at this time. Pepto Joe, and here he goes into pit road. Cone rattled off just enough laps that he wanted to, and he's going to come in, top it off, put on new tires, and be a rocket ship. Pepto Joe is now up to 8th. Hugo Gallas, very well, worked his way up to 9th here in the Tide ride, right behind him in a battle for position. Here's JV and stock car driver Matt Wagner in 11th. Say hey, Lewis Hayes, and a fight there with Rick Dees here for 12th and 13. George Anzaldo, this is a home game for him. He's in 14th. Lionel Callisto had an issue on pit road. He was up among your leaders up until the first pit stop. He is now back to 15th. So as we say, even though it's a bit early, championship implications as your points leader is back in 15th and got a bit of a long haul in front of him. Let's see if he can execute some strategy and possibly change his fortunes. Richie Hearn, he did have a 40-second hold on pit road for speeding, or at least an unsafe pit road entry. He is back to 16th despite leading some laps early on. Mark Cohn now back to 17th and back on the track with a fresh set of tires, 1 lap down in 17th. That is your field. If you're just joining us, this is race first coverage of the ISRA Xfinity Series coming to you from Chicagoland, where we've completed 57 of a scheduled 134 laps. If you enjoyed race first coverage of tonight's race and would like to monetarily support us, please find a link to our GoFundMe campaign in the stream description. We realize times are tough, so any donation, no matter the amount, is greatly appreciated. Now, business done. Let's get back into this next stint.
Yeah, so 2 competing strategies. You've got Dean and Mike, Dean Mall and Mike Rigney have left the group that contains Pat Armstrong, Michael Goodman, Sam Crow, Vern, and Drew Trader. Also running along with them, as we see Richie Hearn come down pit lane. No, this is Vernon and Drew Trader coming down pit lane.
Yeah, this is their scheduled stop. So they went 37 laps on this stint after going fuel only for the short stint. Here they go, slide in. We're watching Vern Hawkins right now. There they go, going up on jack. So these tires are going to be trashed after this.
Yeah, they're going to be down to the cords. Drew Trader did slide through his pit stall just a little bit. That's going to cost him some time. Very difficult, these cars, to get in your box, especially when the tires are that hot. The other thing, and again, it's something that doesn't show up well on TV, and you might say, well, hey, what's the difference? The pit stalls here are concrete, whereas the remainder of the track is asphalt. And so when you have concrete pads in the pits, it's a different surface, it's a different transfer. Concrete is much more abrasive than asphalt, and it can be very difficult sometimes.
Rigney to the lead. Sorry, Rigney to the lead.
You're totally fine. It can be difficult sometimes to get your car stopped.
Von Vorellis coming to pit road.
Yep. So John's had enough.
Well, it looks like he has pancaked the right side of his car, so I'm sure he's going to come and execute the fast repair. He hasn't done so already.
That would usually be an indication when you're running in the wall that you've run out of tires and handling, or you've been run into the wall by somebody else.
And
don't want to speculate.
He executes the fast repair down and away on his stop. I believe that was fuel only. I don't remember seeing him go up on any jack, so that was fuel only. This might be his fuel only run. We are quickly coming to the halfway point. Lap 67 will be that halfway point. We're 5 laps away. Rigney has moved to the lead. And he and Maul's really not letting him get away. Again, I don't know if strategically Maul let him go so Maul can save some fuel to make that last stop even that much quicker.
Or save his tires.
Or save his tires, absolutely right.
Yeah. We've seen the runs be a little bit shorter than what I anticipated. I would have said 50 to 60 laps. These guys are all pitting anywhere between 43 and 45 laps. They don't seem willing, they don't seem willing to run any longer than that, or maybe they're not able to, or maybe, my Ball State math is just that far off.
Well, Michael Goodman has worked his way up to third. That's when we went through the field. He was still moving his way up through the middle portion of the top 10. He is now up to third. And with him is Pat Armstrong and Sam Crow.
Yeah, and D Mall has definitely dropped off the pace a little bit. He's a couple of tenths slower a lap. To me, that would indicate with his speed that he's definitely either saving fuel tires or both. No real need to fight because he's got 2.8 seconds on Michael Goodman, who's in third. Those guys are well clear of everybody else, for sure. Now, the fastest car on a racetrack is not the leader. It's not Mike Rigney. It's not D Mall. It's not Michael Goodman. The fastest cars on the racetrack are Vern and Drew Trader. They are a full second a lap quicker than everybody else on the speedway at this time. So is Mark the Watchman, who is currently 13th. Those guys are running around 30.6, 30.7. Leader right now 31.8, 35. So those guys are hauling the mail back there with those new tires. And boys, you got to get as much as you can get while the getting is good, because you want to get the full effect of being as fast as they are right now. They took the penalty early so they could have the new tires late, and you're seeing why, because they are absolutely driving through people. Next up on the hit parade for Drew Trader is going to be Richie Hearn.
So this is, at least for the first portion of this week, it's going to be my mile-and-a-half cookie cutter week for sort of Chicagoland tonight, Chicagoland tomorrow night, and Kansas when we do the VRL, the Vigilante Racing League Truck Series. And I was talking with the guy, my friend who got me the gig over there, or got us the gig over there. I'll be joining him in the booth. I asked him, I said, well, I could do everything here. We did the trucks with the ISRA and everything pretty good. It's just I don't understand any stage racing. He goes, we don't do stage racing. I'm like, oh, thank God.
I don't mind the stages for points as much. That part doesn't bother me anymore. It gives guys something to race for in the middle of the race, kind of like the old. If you remember the Gillette halfway challenge where they pay the guy $10,000 or whatever it was.
Sure.
Halfway. It gives guys a reason to battle. It gives guys a reason to battle. In the middle of the race instead of just riding. But then I hate the fact that NASCAR throws cautions for them. I think. If you're going to do it, totally fair, award the points, but don't mess up the race. And the other thing is that the winner of the race should always score more points than anybody else. I feel like it cheapens the end. You know what I mean? If you can,
right.
You get guys walk out of Daytona with, essentially the same points as the leader, and they wrecked out, finished 20th. You know what I mean?
Right.
That just doesn't sit very well with me. Like, give a bonus point to the guy that led the stage. But there's no need to give him 10 or whatever. I don't.
Let's check out chat here real quick. Pepto Joe manages to drive as well as leave a message. I like that. William Lewis is in there saying hello, and then we got Iker Pagero in there, I believe, from our DW12 coverage on the Dark Horse, and other series. He's in there in chat, so thanks for joining us. We just had a battle on the racetrack for 10th. Looking at it right here, excuse me. It is Say Hey Lewis Hayes and George Anzaldo.
Yeah, George is having a fine little run here. He's 11th, keeping his car clean, keeping it out of trouble, keeping it on the low line. Doing a good job. George Anzaldo moves up to 10th past Say Hey Lewis Hayes. They're currently side by side battling. But good run for George. It's good to see him going fast and having a good time. For sure.
And next in front of him is Rick D. And Rick is in 9th. This is going to be a battle for position for a top 10. Inside the top 10 now. George is just at the top, the bottom portion of the top 10, but this will get him inside of it. And he's running down Rick D at the moment.
Yeah, and haven't really said a lot about George and his efforts either in the truck or here, but just a solid performance, very impressive. Dare I say, workmanlike. Very slowly moving up to the field. He started last, if you recall, Gary.
Yeah, he's up 6 spots on the day. Yeah, he's been moving.
Yeah, so good job to George Anzaldo. Last stop, lap 43, so he's approaching the end of his tire rope.
Yep, it's at 30 laps. We'll go through as we're getting ready to prepare for the next pit stop since we're right around the corner. Your leader, Rigney, he is now 31 laps into his current stint. Dean Mall, 30 laps into his current stint. There it is. And then we go to Michael Goodman. He is 30 laps into his current stint. Same thing for Armstrong, 30 laps into his current stint. Crow, 30 laps. Flanagan, 30 laps. Wagner, 29. On a slightly different lap count, not much. Gallus, 32. So he's due in here a lot sooner than most others. Of course, we were just talking about Rick and George. 30 laps for Rick, 32 for George. George, although is finding a lot of speed with used tires, he's now to the back bumper of Rick and the 03.
Yep, George is going to take it up the high side, keep it under control. I thought he was going to drive in the fence there for a minute, but he was awful tight going in the corner, and he was awful loose coming off of it. But he's going to get around Rick. Put George Anzaldo up to 9th, and he'll set sail after Hugo Galez. Great run for George Anzaldo. Lionheart up to 9th.
And speaking of Hugo, there he is in the tide ride in 8th. So we are now 77 of 134. We're into that second half of the race now where we still think everybody has 2 stops to go. We'll think it's the most everyone is going to be a long stint and a very short stint at the end. Although there's been a couple on a different strategy. And they're a little bit further back. Let's take a look at those guys. There's Hawkins. He's on the alternate strategy. He's 18 laps into his current stint. Drew Trader, he is on the same lap count. And John Von Ellis, he is on a slightly different strategy as well. He is 16 laps into his current stint. So we'll keep an eye on these guys. They are currently down a lap. And provided they really don't fall down another lap, what's going to happen is that when these pit stops occur, they're going to go continue, and they should get their lap back and actually work their way up into the standings. So let's keep an eye on Mark. Go ahead.
They're going to be leading the race. There's no doubt about that Vernon and Drew are going to be leading the show. And they're probably going to be leading it by quite a bit.
Here's a battle right now between Trader and Cone. They're both 1 lap down, and they are with the leader, Rigney.
Yes, they are. Now, if you're Rigney, and of course Mike's a smart guy, let him go. Right? Not your fight, not your circus. Right? Let them guys go.
You know, what it's doing is while they're fighting around him and causing him to kind of check up. Micro checkups. So when we say those micro checkups, it's just you're cracking the throttle a little more than you wanted to kind of let these guys go by. That allows the guys behind you to creep into the picture, and that's exactly what's happened. Dean Darth Maul, Michael Goodman side by side here for second, but they have run down Rigney, who had himself a little bit of a comfort lead. Now they've cut it down to under a second.
Yes, they have, and it doesn't take much. These cars don't necessarily. You take time to get going again when you crack the throttle like that. Of course, Xfinity cars used to be 2 carburetors instead of 4. It's 2-barrel instead of 4-barrel carbs on the Xfinity cars, and although they're fuel injected now, they retain slower throttle.
Yeah,
slower throttle response.
Yes, there you go. There you go. It's not just me that has momentary lapse of trying to say it right. Yeah.
No, it's okay. But these cars do take a little bit longer to get wound up than you would think. It's not instant, almost like the Cup car is, or whatever. It's very much a momentum car. In that way, it's more similar to the truck.
Here's Lionel Callisto. Sorry to cut you off there. Lionel Callisto now around Rick D in the 03. Lionel Callisto now up into the very bottom of the top 10 P10. For Callisto had that issue on pit road, so he is trying to make up time. He does have the purple lap, 30.5. And the point situation, well, we're only 2 weeks into the second round. Callisto is currently your leader, just by 1 point right now over Matt Wagner, Mark Cohn, Mike Rigney, and Christopher Reagan. Reagan not in the lineup tonight. So right now, if this race ends, then this right here, this guy right here, you know who I'm talking about, is going to be your points leader. Right now, if this race ended right here, here's your points leader. Stock car driver.
It's interesting. Matt's a very, very, very good points racer.
Yeah.
Right. He's very much like me in that regard. In that, he's not going to win every day. He's not going to win every race he enters, and he's probably not going to.
Callisto and George Anzaldo on pit road.
He's not going to be the alien. He is going to be extremely in that scheduled service, by the way. These cars now inside of 48 laps to go. So right on the edge of the fuel window. It's about as soon as I might want to stop.
Yeah, here goes George on by Lionel on pit road. Hugo Gallas coming to pit road. Oh, just missed his spot just by a moment. And he backed up, and he is not seeing him go up on jacks. This might be his fuel-only stint here. Yeah, it is. That's his fuel-only stint. So Hugo is going to try to finish strong with his last set of tires for that last stop. And to be honest, that is not really a bad strategy, because if everything, let's say when he stays out on the track while everyone else is pitting, gets his lap back, and a caution occurs, and then let's say it's later in the race, he could still come down pit road and get those last set of tires and make a storm in the closing laps if he wanted to. So not a bad strategy for Hugo.
No, not bad at all. Mike Rigney comes down pit lane. He's going to slide to a stop in his box. Right on it.
This is fuel only. Oh, nope. He's finally going up on the jacks.
Oh, he's up. These cars look weird when they go up on the jacks, don't they?
Yeah. Oh, here comes Maul. Getting the better under. He tried to get it under control, and he did. But he was a little squirrely on that exit. And coming off the banking onto the flat transition is a little rough, even in these cars, which does have a better suspension than the Indy cars. Indy cars coming off the banking onto the flat portion, that could be an adventure sometimes. And Dean's coming in. He is going for tires.
It's that transition.
Something happened to Rigney. He is being held on pit road.
That's going to have to be speeding. And unfortunate, because Mike Rigney, heck of a night to this point, but to get a speeding penalty here is certainly going to drop him well down the order. You were mentioning that transition.
Michael Goodman on pit road.
you kind of want to, at this place in particular, because it's a little bit higher bank than Kansas is not an issue. Here, though, what you want to kind of try to do is get it woed down a little bit. You remember
Crow to pit road, Armstrong to pit road. Yeah, go ahead, keep talking.
You remember how earlier in the race we saw Richie Hearn to the right of the cone, the commit cone? So what you want to do is you want to leave the actual turn. You want to get woed down as much as possible. But you want to leave the turn as late as possible, because off the corner the track's going to flatten out for the quad oval, the tri-oval, and so where it flattens out is kind of where you want to get on it. But you want to make that kind of a straight run down the hill rather than having kind of trying to straddle the banking and the flat, because that's where you get in trouble. And so you want to kind of get woe down and then just drive straight down the hill toward the cone. Does that make sense?
Yep, it sure does. To the lead, Vern Hawkins, as he allows George Gonzalo to get on the tail end of the lead lap. George with those freshies that he put on at his stop. But your leader is Hawkins, and he has himself a nice, comfortable lead over Trader. 3.1 seconds right now. But certainly in the 3-second range. Trader is kind of, that's been fluctuating between 3 and 3.2. Now it's 3.3. I think Vern was around the lap traffic, and that was maybe throwing him off. Oh, slidey going through turn 4 there.
Yes,
there's
indeed.
Trader, and then there's Cone. So we got each one separated by about 2 seconds, 2 to 3 seconds. Your top 3, these guys are all going to have to stop one more time, more than likely, and they are very deep in their runs. Vern and Drew are 34 laps into the run. Cone, 38 laps into his run. George Gonzalo up to 11th, passing Von Voorellis, passing JV there for 12th. Rick D around Say Hey Lewis Hayes for 14th. So let's reset the field real quick. We do know that the top 3 are on a different strategy. We expect them on pit road relatively soon. Michael Goodman is the first of the cars on the primary strategy. He is racing Dean Darth Maul right now for 4th. This could be your battle for the lead when these next round of pit stops occur. Sam Crow, he started from the pole, is down 5 spots, but he's in the battle here. Certainly when the top 3 pit, he could cycle to 3rd spot. Matt Wagner, he has expertly piled his way up to 7th here, and he could work his way up to 4th when the top 3 eventually stop. Pat Armstrong, his first race in the series, he's at P8. Lionel Callisto has recovered to 9th. And Anzaldo around Pepto Joe move Big George up to the top 10. Once again, if you're just joining us, you're watching Race First coverage of round 2 of 14 of the ISRA Xfinity Series, coming to you from Chicagoland, where currently Mark Cohn is now the leader because the 2 on the alternate strategy of Hawkins and Trader are now on pit road. A bunch of cars on pit road right now. You see Hearn on pit road. There's Pepto Joe on pit road. JV on pit road. JV's on a long hold. He might have sped. Here comes Hugo Gallas on pit road. Final stops now. These are going to be the final stops.
We are at the money stop, Gary. I apologize. I had my headset muted. I ran away to get a drink of water real quick. Trader just about spun it coming onto pit lane. He was in a full 4-wheel drift getting onto pit lane. But these are the money stops, and this is the thing, right? So, this is where these guys.
Here's leader Mark Cohn to pit road for Mark Cohn. Yeah, real quick here, just make sure to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on the next race. Also, don't forget your commentary team by sending a donation via our GoFundMe link. The link is our GoFundMe campaign. Actually, the link is in the description, and we certainly would appreciate it. Now we got the business out of the way. Let's get to the final stint, these final laps, 98 of 134 in the books. Michael Goodman, your leader. Dean Darth Maul right behind him.
Now, all of these cars have made up front, have made their final stops. Goodman stopped lap 90, Mall 89, Sam Crow 91. That's your top three. That's your top three. Guys, kind of pretty much are all in that same within 5 laps. The cars that I'm going to watch are Vern and Drew.
Yeah, they're back in 8th and 9th, and they managed to stay on the lead lap after doing their final stop, and they could press as hard as they want.
Yeah, they don't have to save anything. That extra 5 or 6 laps on tires is
30.6 last time by for Vern. Trader 30.4. Oh, shoot, he just set the fastest lap. Trader just set the purple lap, 30.455 last time by.
Those boys are coming. They're a second a lap faster than pretty much everybody in front of them.
I mean, they got a ways to go. So let's take a look at their gap to the leader. I mean, they got 20 seconds to the leader. We got 34 laps left in this race. There's time. There's time.
There's time. Now, the tire crossover seems to be about 20 laps. The issue is that, I think the guys up front are out of tires, whereas these guys are on fresh ones. And so the leaders are just going to continue to fall off. They're going to continue to fall off here where, Drew and Vern will not, essentially.
And last time by for Trader, a 30.476. So he's just setting fast lap after fast lap. Not purple lap after purple lap, just fast lap, 30.5. Vern a 30.7. So the man on the move in terms of being the fastest driver is Trader. Now we do have a battle for 4th that just occurred, and there is Armstrong around Wagner.
And these guys can sense the pay window is opening. My race lab is lighting up with green lap.
Yep.
Say Hey Lewis Hayes just ran his fastest lap of the race at 31.209.
Yep.
These guys are getting after it. They know that it's getting down to money and trophy time, and they won the flag, right? So, interestingly enough, Drew Trader and Vern, they have closed out to this point over 8 seconds in 7 laps. I mean, they are coming, and they're coming with a head of steam. Can they get there is going to be the question.
All right, let's get back on the leaders, see what they're up to. I think they're just kind of hanging out in line. So the remainder of the week, tomorrow night, 8:15 p.m. Eastern, IndyCar Oval Series, right back here at Chicago. That's our signature broadcast. Then join me at 8:50 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday for the VRL at Kansas. Then we have the ERL Indy 500 on the 9th. On the 10th, we will be having our alternate date for the IIS this week. This is IIS week, Indy GP week, and we will be having it at 4 p.m. for the 4 p.m. time slot on Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern. That's because the Indy GP is on a Saturday, and so what would happen, we would have the Indy GP top split race on top of the real Indy GP race, and I think everybody really would rather watch the real Indy GP race instead of being stuck behind a simulator. So we moved it to 4, so that will be our rebroadcast there for that one on 4 p.m. Eastern. And then nothing planned for Saturday, and then we got a double header on Sunday, on Mother's Day, the VOR IRO 5 series at Fontana, and then later that evening, the Dark Horse DW12 series at Motegi. And that is the week that will be here for the next 7 days here on Race First.
A lot of fun stuff playing, Gary. You might be the hardest working guy in sim racing.
Maybe, I don't know.
So that gap has started. They're still closing, but they're not coming as much. About 6 tenths. About 6 tenths that last lap for Vern and Drew. So they're 16 and 18 seconds behind, respectively. Vern at one point had been as many as 4 seconds ahead of Drew, but they have but they have kind of come back together a little bit.
Oh, he's getting ready to encounter a car for position. Vern is. He's now 8th, and he is looking at the backside of hometown boy George Anzaldo. George a little bit high. Ooh, Vern getting loose on corner exit, and he caught it. He caught it. He caught it. He's hustling it though, and he is right there with George. George staying high, finding that grip strip up high. But Vern's going to get a big run down the front straight. A little bit of a side draft occurred there. Hawkins move him up to 7th. Trader's not going to be too far behind. There he is. So now Hawkins is going to look at Callisto. So that's going to probably be his hardest pass of the night so far. He's still got to run down Callisto. There's a big lead there. In front of him, not for position, is Pepto Joe. Pepto is currently back in 14th, 1 lap down. .110 of 134. 24 laps to go. Dean Darth Maul hanging that right rear out there in turns 3 and 4. Got Say Hayes with the basically the front row seat there. Got his popcorn and drink.
Movie theater butter on that popcorn.
Oh yeah, that's the best right there.
That's right. That can be both really fun and really frustrating at the same time when you're a lap down, you're right behind the leader, and you've got a great view of the you've got a great view of the race that you're not in. Sometimes it can be a little frustrating, but good on Say Hey Lewis Hayes. Mark the Watchman has been kind of a surprise to me on this run. He started out kind of the same blistering pace that Drew and Vern had, and he has fallen off considerably. Now running about the same lap times as the leaders right in front of me. Be interested to see kind of what his thoughts were on the tires after the race is over. The gap for our 2 alternate cars, 15 and 17 seconds respectively, they are still coming, but I think the tires have equalized now, Gary. Been out for about 20 laps, and that seems to be where that happens.
Yep. They're actually 17 laps into their current stint there. As we're watching Mark Cohn. So Goodman the leader now. Maul still right behind him. Not sure how much Maul is pushing on this one though.
I guess it's just hard enough.
Now here's an interesting battle. Crow, Armstrong, Crow. Sorry, I thought that was more cars on the lead lap. I just looked at timing and scoring. Crow was around 2 cars lap down. Crow around Ricky and Mike Rigney. Rick is 1 lap down. Rigney, I think, had a penalty on pit road for speeding. But Crow started on the pole, kind of floated back, but is now kind of started to rise back to the top. He is 3rd, and he is 1.7 seconds behind the lead duo. So he's not out of this battle yet. He needs to reel him in. He slowly is, but not by large chunks. Pat Armstrong in his first race is looking at a solid top 5. He is currently P4. 3.8 seconds, 3.9 seconds behind the leaders.
Yep. Next car in line, and it's going to be 5th, 7.1 seconds off of the lead, Matt Wagner. He's got Lionel Callisto about
Oh,
7.
Callisto power slides it through 1 and 2. My goodness.
Not much grip left in the Goodyears for Lionel Callisto. Remember, he had that issue earlier. Had to take what we believe was his fast repair. My guess is he's also used a set of tires.
Well, and he sees his chief point rival for the last season and one race.
Yeah,
right in front of him. So he wants to run him down, and he's doing it right now. We'll check the gap between the two. Callisto 7/10 back to Wagner. So he is now it says 8/10. So he's maybe starting to lose a little ground. We'll see.
He lost about 1/10 and a half.
Oh, sliding again.
It's not for lack of effort. He's given it everything he's got. But the issue is you start doing that and you cook the rear tires, and it's, Lionel really hunting and hurting for grip at both corner exits, especially off of 4. It gets kind of narrow. It narrows up over there. You got to turn the wheel a little bit more if you're on the coming off the high side, and he gets it. Oh my goodness!
Yeah, wow.
Looks like something out of Tokyo Drift, and it looks spectacular. But every time he does that, he loses a tenth of a second, and he heats up the rear tires. So that problem is if he keeps doing that, it's only going to get worse. For
he's fighting a wicked car here. He just needs to get it to these next 14 laps. He's might lose the points lead, but he's not going to lose touch to the points leader. Oh.
He spins that baby out. He's going to.
And here comes Hugo, and Hugo is down. Oh, is Hugo going in the wall? Hugo almost into the wall. Hugo's racing Richie Hearn right now. This is a battle for 15th to 16th. Actually, no, it's not. They're not on the same lap. Never mind. Sorry about that. Hearn is a lap ahead of Gallas right now.
I don't know if I'd want to go to the outside of that 2 car or not. He is having all sorts of problems getting off of turn 4.
And now he's got a bunch of dirty air around him. I'm sure that's not going to make the car handle any better.
Well, what it's going to do is it's going to tighten him up, so it may help him. Right? Being behind another car, whether it be a stock or a new car, in general is going to make you more snug. Right? You're going to lose front end grip. It's going to make you more snug. Believe it or not, in the IS race, the IS 500 last night, I actually consciously made the decision.
Ooh, in the wall.
And he got it that time.
He got it that time.
He's been trying hard to do it for about the last 10
the Callisto Demolition Company is in the building right now, folks.
Right, knock down some walls, Lionel Callisto. But sometimes
let's ride with them. This is going to be a roller coaster ride right here. Lionel Callisto in 6th. Listen to him just feather it, and it's still wicked for him.
Yeah, I mean he's used up all the grip in those Goodyears, and he just doesn't have any left.
Yeah, 39 laps on this run.
He's trying to get home, and you can see him counter steering.
32 points, 32.3 last time by. We could take a look at last laps, as a matter of fact, there, and 169.8 for Callisto. Everybody else around him, with the exception of Maul. Maul's kind of falling off a little bit too. Oh, hang on. Oh, Maul's in the 169 as well.
I don't know if he can hang on to this thing for another 7 or 8 laps.
This could be your caution, so that's kind of one reason why we're watching it right now.
The cause of the caution is Lionel Callisto just finally
getting to the cords of his tire.
But what I meant to say was, you might intentionally, if you're out of tools, or you're out of adjustments, or you're, in Lionel's case, completely out of tires, you might try to follow somebody just to change the balance on your car.
We're going to have a battle for second, little brewing here. As now here comes Crow underneath Dean Darth Maul. Maul's on the same type of tire situation as Callisto. I think his tires are good and well cooked. And here comes Crow around him for position. Crow's tires are slightly better. Dean going to the apron, but it's not going to help him. So Dean back to third. Crow now still turning laps in the 170s. Goodman turning laps in the 170s. All that time by a 168.5. So his tires have seen better laps.
Well, and to compare it to Lionel Callisto, though, because I'm right with Dean, but compare it to Lionel, he's free. He's not. He's not.
George Gonzalo, the pit road.
Dean's not having the snap oversteer that Lionel Callisto it wasn't. Of course, as soon as I say that, he's got the wheel turned all the way to the right, but. Dean's been running the bottom and has been fairly committed to it. And that's the easiest way to save the rear tires is by using the bottom, right? Use the top, you're going to cook the right rear. Use the bottom, you're going to cook the right front. Lionel's been up at the top quite a bit, and so he's destroyed the rear tires on his car. Dean's been running either the second lane or the very bottom, and it's going to be his right front that's going away, which... if you're going to choose one of the two corners, I suppose the right front might be a little bit better. You're not going to get that snappiness. It's just going to push, and you have to lift. But Dean doing a fine job on those old tires. Just struggling to bring it home now. We're going to have 5 to go at the line.
Take a look at our leader. Not a single car around him. Actually, he's got Zaldo 3.5 seconds up the road from him. He just passed, say, hey, Lewis Hayes, to kind of give himself a little bit of buffer between himself and Crow. Crow back 1.3 seconds. But Goodman just needs to navigate these last 5 laps, and he is in line for his first win in the ISRA, whether it be trucks or Xfinity.
Yep, and by the way, Lionel Callisto is still trying to wreck coming off of turn 4, but he has fallen out all the way back. He has fallen all the way back to 12, and is rapidly coming into the clutches of Pepto Joe Flanagan. But he is, yeah. I don't see how he's hung on to that thing for this long. That is the wheel in that number 2. Is flashing 40, 50 degrees right every time he turns the automobile. It is not handling for Lionel Callisto to end this race, and he's just.
Well, I tell you what, Crow's making a run of it. He is now 4/10 with 3 laps to go.
He is Sam Crow. Contrast the wheel inputs for Sam Crow. And
last time by, Crow 32 flat versus a 32.5 for Goodman. He's using the apron. He's now right there, 1/10. He's right there, 2 to go.
Catching a guy is one thing,
passing them something else. It is. This is now turning into another exciting finish here. We see these caution-free races turn into kind of a bit of a fuel mileage thing, and it really hasn't, but it's more turned into how well you manage your tires thing. And now coming to the white flag, Michael Goodman looking at his first win, but our pole sitter looking to gain back all the territory he lost here, coming into turn 1 one more time.
Down to the bottom of the racetrack for Sam Crow. Michael Goodman coming off of turn 2.
Goodman protecting the inside a little bit of a wheel, a little bit of a fade there. 3 and 4. Looks like he has this, unless he makes a little bit of slip up, but it doesn't look like it. And Michael Goodman, welcome to victory lane in the ISRA. Win number 1 in the Xfinity Series for him.
Absolutely. Sam Crow going to come home second. Pat Armstrong, fine third, rounds out your podium. Dean Garthmall comes home 4th. And Matt, stock car driver Wagner, will round out your top 5, Gary.
All right, let's do this. And let's get the results in. Michael Goodman led 53 laps on a 2-stopper, getting the win. Sam Crow Also executed the two-stopper, only led 3 laps, but brought it home 1 position worse than where he started, but he did start from the pole, so a good day for him, really. Pat Armstrong in his first start up 2 spots on a two-stopper and led 1 lap. D. Darth Maul finishes 4th, Matt Wagner 5th. Vern Hawkins 6th on that alternate strategy. Drew Trader also on the alternate strategy 7th. Look at the key number there. They were up each 7 spots and 10 spots respectively. So I think that strategy had maybe if they started a little bit further up in the starting lineup or something, maybe they would have had a slightly better chance of pulling that off for a better finish. But really, top 10 from everything. That's not too bad. Cone finishes 8th. Say Hayes in 9th. Rick D moving to the 10th spot. Lionel Callisto 11th. Pepto Joe 12th. George Gonzalo was having a great race, actually moving up in the top 10, but had to make a late stop for fuel. 13th. Rigney getting nabbed on pit road for speeding. Gosh darn those Duke boys. There, he's 14th there. Richie Hearn, also same boat there, 15th. Hugo Gallus, 16th. And John Von Voor Ellis in 17th.
17-car field tonight for the ISRA Xfinity Series at Chicagoland. Wonderful turnout. Michael Goodman, your winner. Sam Crow second and Pat Armstrong third. We'll look for them to join us in the booth momentarily. Very impressive for Vern Hawkins and Drew Trader, for them to get up as far to get up as far as they did on that alternate strategy. By the way, Gary, that's probably how I would have played it. I would have much rather been on the new tires at the end as opposed to the beginning. And how about this? Another caution-free affair in the ISRA.
I know.
Cannot say enough about how much as a racer and a race fan, I appreciate not having caution flags and letting the different strategies play out and see who has the better plan.
Well, let's see. Pat Armstrong. I think this is him. Yeah, Pat Arm 29. Yeah, we'll just see if that's him. We'll pull him up here. Hey, Pat, got you in the booth here with Gary and Mark. Welcome to the ISRA and welcome to your first podium. Congratulations. You're on mute? No. There he is.
Oh, I'm sorry. Were you talking to me?
I was talking to you. Welcome to the ISRA and welcome to your first podium. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Tell us about your race.
Well, overall, I had a good race, but coming to the pits on the second run, ran out of gas, so I lost a lot of time coasting down the pit road and then tried to make it up on the last segment.
Yeah, Pat, it's all things considered, though, you made that up and then some, came back to a fine and strong third. Tell us about your thoughts in having to make one stretch of green flag running on old tires. Was that a challenge, and how did you approach not having all the tires you wanted for this race?
Actually, it worked out perfect. I stretched it out for 2 stops, so with the 3 sets of tires, I had a fresh set on every segment.
Wow. As when you save fuel, that's what you get. You get bonus tires.
Yes. And that's what confuses me. I'm kind of surprised why I ran out on that second segment. I did make it to the pits, but I was running with Sam and we were together. And when I came out, I was a little over 5 seconds behind him.
Oh, okay. Well, all in all, not bad. A great debut for you in the number 29. Before we let you go, anybody you want to say hi to, give shout-outs to, friends, family, sponsors, teammates, go right ahead.
Oh, just running with my teammate Sam and Rick Follis. Just like running with him. I'm happy to be here with Mike's Racing League and looking forward to racing some more races with you guys.
Well, a pleasure to have you and welcome.
Yeah, we're happy to have you, my man. Look forward to see you up here in the booth in the future.
Oh, hope so. We'll see. Thank you very much.
Take care, man. And a very happy Pat Armstrong. So let's see if Sam. So he said Sam was his teammate.
It's what the man said. Sam and was it
Rick. Rick.
Rick D? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna guess this is Sam Crow, Retro Crow.
It's worth a shot.
Well,
Gary.
we'll see. When they don't change their names in there, I think that's Sam. But if not, we'll give him an interview anyways. Let's bring him up in here. Is this Sam?
Well, last time I checked.
Okay, we weren't sure with the alias there we see in Discord, but welcome to the booth for the very first time, Sam. Very first podium here in the league. Started on the pole. You're here with Gary and Mark. Talk about your race. So we kind of noticed early on you were first 5-10 laps. We're up there with the leaders, and it just started to fall back. Was that strategy starting to talk there, or just the tires weren't agreeing with you right off the bat, and you kind of wore them out too early? So talk about kind of that first stint there that you had.
Oh, thanks a lot for having me up here, Gary. I appreciate you guys. You do a stellar job with the broadcast, and I appreciate all you guys do for ISRA. But I was just thrilled to get a pole position with this group. It's a stellar group of drivers, and the racing here is really second to none. My whole thought process was that if I just keep the car, not repeat my little loose condition last week, and keep the car straight and just run conservative laps, I could work the pit strategy and the tire conservation, and that's really just it in a nutshell, just to allow that all to play out. My pit stops were good, and just making sure. There at the end, though, I knew I had at least 2 to 3 laps to the good, and so I was pacing myself to try and get not to get too far behind Dean and Mike, and I wanted to keep them in sight in case they ran out of gas. And then I saw Mike was going to make it. Dean started conserving some more, and I couldn't figure out how to pass Dean well. And then once I got around Dean, I waited too late for the push. So I probably could have used another lap because I think Mike ran out there at the end.
Yeah, you definitely closed the gap rather quickly. That was a good closing last 5 set of laps there. So other than that, how do you like the challenge of this league presenting itself as we'll give you one of your pit stops unless you hit exact numbers? One of your pit stops more than likely is going to be fuel only on an old set of tires. Are you liking that challenge, or are you wanting another set of tires in the pits for you?
Oh, I was thrilled that the pit strategy, with the conservation of tires and fuel for this particular race, I was really wanting to get 44 to 45 laps to each run. So I didn't have to short pit for fuel at all tonight. My stops equaled out my tire changes, and it all just worked out. So, but as far as the league in itself, the fuel capacity changes and allowing fuel strategy to come into, I love that part of racing. And this group has proven that they can be extremely fast and still utilize that strategy as well. So it is a challenge in this league, and it's a privilege to be able to come over here and race with these guys. I'm serious. I've been online racing for 20 something years, and honestly, this is one of the better groups.
Well, definitely welcome, and we're glad to have you up here in the booth for the first time. First pole, first podium. So I know you got some shout-outs, teammates, friends, families out there that you want to say hi to, so go right ahead.
Thank you so much, Gary. I appreciate it. I do want to give a shout out to my friends at CRL, which is the Christian Racing League. It's another league that I work in, and so I do want to give those guys a shout out. Also, Go Sim Lab, which is an online painting resource that I use, that I run as well. And I also want to give a big shout out to Mike Rigney for all the work and labor that he puts into the league here, and the fellow drivers. I mean every word I say, that I enjoy racing with this group. I really do. And it's oddly enough, I do want to give a shout out to you guys too, because I love going back after the event and go back and watch your broadcast. I really do, and I appreciate all you guys and the effort that you're putting into this and promoting the league and your product. Your product is very good as well.
Well, it's all Mark Murphy. I don't take any credit. So, congratulations. Good to have you here. Good to have you part of the league. And hopefully we see you on some more podiums and hopefully a win next. Because, man, you were really close this time. So I got to think that a win's right around the corner. Yeah.
No, I really do appreciate it more than you know. Thank you guys so much.
Take care, and we will catch you next week at Richmond.
All right, Gary, take care. Thank you, Mark.
All right,
good work.
Let's bring in Michael Goodman, our winner in the Ford EcoBoost. Mike, I got you here in the booth with Gary and Mark. Congratulations after a couple of podiums in the Truck Series, getting you so close. You finally nailed one down here in the Xfinity Series. Congratulations on the win.
I appreciate it, Gary. Thanks, Mark. It was a fun race.
Well, let's talk about it, especially that finish there at the end. Sam was coming, and he really cut into that lead there toward the end. You were able to hold him off. Talk about those final 5 laps.
I kept final 5 laps. I just kept looking at my fuel laps, fuel number, and everything that I did leading up to those last 2 laps was necessary. The second to last lap, I saw that Sam was coming quick, and then I saw him in my rearview mirror, and I took a quick peek at my fuel, and I had 1 lap of fuel left, and I was able to, go full throttle. And coming off of turn 4, the car started sputtering, and I crossed the finish line.
Wow. That's awesome. I do like the fact that you kind of looked at the rearview mirror, saw that he was coming, and then just hit the throttle and gotta go, and brought it home. So congratulations. I know Mark's got some questions for you, so go right ahead, Mark.
I don't. Just a flat out stellar job. You've left me speechless, Mr. Goodman. Heck of a run. Well played on the fuel mileage. Well played on keeping your tires underneath you. My only question is high or low, and why?
I'm sorry, high as low as what? As far as
the high line, the low line, and why? What would you prefer?
I'm always a bottom feeder. I rather, if I'm going to make the mistake, I'd rather go take the guy out in front of me and keep going. And I'm just joking around instead of being up there and having the guy below me lose control of their car. And next thing you know, I'm in the wall.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, congratulations. And by virtue of winning, that gives you a chance to hold the microphone longer than anybody else. So shout outs, friends, families, loved one, teammates, you name it. Feel free to give them your shout outs. Go right ahead.
All right. I want to thank you and Mark for doing stepping up and doing the broadcasts. I watch the broadcasts every week, and they're great. I enjoy them. I just want to give a thanks to Mike Rigney for getting these group of guys together and actually going out there and running caution free for an entire race. I'm like kind of spoiled now. It's been God knows how long since we've had a yellow.
Right, exactly. We were talking about that.
But that's about it. I mean, really, that's all I could thank. I just want to thank everybody in the league. Continue with their driving standards and whatnot, and so forth.
Well, you got it. Congratulations on that long and coming win. Like I said, it was so close a couple times in the Truck Series, and brought it home here in the Xfinity Series. Congratulations, and we'll see you next week.
I appreciate you guys. Have a great night. Thank you.
Absolutely. Nice win, Michael.
So now that we're talking about consecutive races without a caution, now we go to Richmond.
So
does this change now going to Richmond? Does the friendliness wear off from everybody and the good feelings that everyone has because we're going to Richmond? Do we get that first caution? You never know. We could go whatever the lap distance at Richmond is. I have to look at the schedule. We could go caution free next week at Richmond.
That would be an achievement.
That would be, yeah.
I will once again raise my hat to all of the gentlemen in this league. That's 2 weeks in a row now that we've run caution free, and what that does is it really and truly highlights the skills of the guys that run these cars. And I know that we joke about Matt Wagner being a stock car driver, and that's fair. But also know that what they're doing in turning extremely fast laps while simultaneously saving fuel and managing to not get into one another for 2 weeks in a row is absolutely fabulous. It gives the racing a much more cerebral feel. And when I say that, I mean you have to think through these races. What strategy is going to be best? Do you save and try to stretch the fuel and the tires? Do you stand on it? We saw that strategy, where guys came in early, took extra fuel. There were guys pitting in the middle of the race to take extra fuel. Do you go to the whip early and stand on it and hope for a caution? Do you save and kind of, do you save your stuff and try to minimize the time on pit lane? Which way is going to work out? Is there going to be a caution, and when is one going to fall? And when one doesn't fall, it's truly a test of who the best driver is at distance. And it's so enjoyable to watch. Are we going to go caution free at Richmond? We may, although the chances of one occurring there are probably much greater than anywhere else on the schedule remains.
Trying to look and see what race we did have our last caution. So I'm pretty sure we went caution free at Auto Club. I think we went caution free at Dover. Might have been, and this is going back to the Truck Series, maybe there was a caution at Iowa. We went caution free at Worldwide. I know we went caution free at Michigan, Kentucky. Atlanta and Daytona were the ones we had cautions. So it's been a while. You could probably count on your hand since the Truck Series left Atlanta back in the early part of March. You can probably count on your hand the number of cautions combined between the Truck Series and the Xfinity Series these guys have worked up. I mean, it's a very small number, and that says a lot to the degree of drivers that Mike is recruiting, and also, of course, these are all old Lionheart guys. I mean, how many times have you seen a Lionheart race go caution-free, or maybe one caution and the rest of the race goes caution-free? I've been in a number of them, and you're sitting there praying for a caution, but you just know it's never going to happen because they're Lionheart guys. So this is a pretty outstanding fact, and let's see if we can keep it up next week at Richmond.
Absolutely, Gary. Looking forward to it. These cars are so much fun at Richmond. It's one of the places that I've actually raced one in anger before, and so much fun, and I look forward to it.
Real quick, before we get out of here, I want to shout out Track Cams for Gourmets. Check them out, trackcam22.com, for your own track cams, for your own personal highlight reel of iRacing. Check them out, trackcams22.com. They supply the cams for RaceFirst. That's it for tonight. Once again, your podium from Chicagoland. Michael Goodman with his first win. Sam Crow. Actually, the entire podium is everybody their first time here. So welcome. I'm sure we'll see them very many times on the podiums going forward. Sam Crow, P2. Pat Armstrong, P3. Join RaceFirst again next week for round 3 of the ISRA Xfinity Series. It's a teams and drivers head to the first short track of the season. As we mentioned, Richmond coverage begins around 9:35 p.m. Eastern. Again, that is 9:35 p.m. Eastern. As always, for the correct time in your area, you can always find everything you need right here at YouTube at youtube.com/RaceFirst. Now, as you know, the YouTube algorithm game is not easy, so please help support RaceFirst with the weekly grind. Leave a comment below. Let us know what you thought of tonight's race. I want to thank everybody in chat that made a comment. Double check, make sure that we don't have any smart Alex from Matt Wagner in there. Nope. What a good finish, Matt, nevertheless. And if everybody enjoyed tonight's coverage, support us by smashing like in the video. If you're new, click subscribe right, hit the bell for weekly reminders so you'll miss out more RaceFirst other iRacing programming. And like I said, next 2 weeks, as we are getting closer and closer to Indy time in the IndyCar Series, we're going to have a lot of stuff to show you here on RaceFirst. Keep your browser set here for the most in-depth IndyCar knowledge on all of iRacing. RaceFirst, we know what Indy means. For business inquiries, learn more about about Race First, what we do, visit racefirst.com and like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter. Here's all of our handles at the bottom of the screen. So, for Murph, everyone at Race First, I'm Gary Gotzo saying all good night. Thanks for watching. And all men and women serving in the military as first responders, Godspeed, God bless, come home safe. Catch us again right here next week in Richmond for the next race of the ISRA Xfinity Series. Good night.